Hello and welcome to a video on the muscular system. The muscular system is very important in our everyday life. However, there are 6 main functions to the muscles. Firstly, you have for movement. The muscles are attached to your bones by tendons. Your muscles are always attached over a joint in order for muscle to contract and pull on your bones. Bones move by contracting. This pulls on the bone it's attached to and creates a movement. Next, you have the muscles which allow you to breathe. When you inhale, your intercostal muscles, which can be found between your ribs, contract to pull the rib cage upwards, allowing your lungs to inflate. Then, exhaling, the diaphragm contracts, pulling the ribs back downwards as the lungs deflate. Then breathing, your nerves are what tell your muscles to contract and relax. A signal is sent from the brain to the muscles via the central nervous system and neurons. When the signal stops, the muscles will relax, and when doing exercise, your intercostal muscles contract even when you're breathing out in order to be able to breathe at a faster rate. Muscles also allow movement. The muscles create movement by contracting and pulling on a bone. The only way that this is possible is if the muscles are attached to bones over a joint. This means that when a signal is sent to the muscles to contract, the muscles shorten and pull on the bone, forcing the angle at the joint to change. For example, when performing a forehand shot in badminton, your biceps brachii contract, allowing your lower arm to produce flexion in preparation. Then, in execution, the biceps brachii relax, allowing the arm to extend and perform the shot. Lastly, the biceps brachii then contract slightly in recovery. Another function of the muscular system is for thermoregulation. This is the regulation of body temperature. For example, when the body gets cold, your muscles begin to quickly contract. This is because when your muscles contract, they produce heat. Thermoreceptors can sense the drop in your body temperature and send signals to the muscles to contract. Your muscles are always working, even when you're asleep. The muscles in your body help to maintain posture by completing partial contractions. However, they also contract to keep your body stable by maintaining certain contractions while completely relaxing others. An example of this is in ballet when completing a balance on 2 legs. The intercostal muscles between your vertebrae partially contract in order to keep the back upright and weight forward. This allows a strong balancing position. Now, another function of the muscles is for the constriction of blood vessels. When your thermoreceptors sense that your body is becoming too hot, your neurons will send an impulse to the blood vessels. These impulses tell the blood vessels whether to vasoconstrict or vasodilate. When you're too hot, your blood vessels will vasodilate, as this means that your blood vessels become closer to the skin, allowing heat to leave the body at a quicker rate. Heat leaves the body as sweat and is transported in the blood. This is why we can sometimes see our veins in our hands and feet when we're hot. However, when our bodies become too cold, our veins vasoconstrict so that the diffusion gap between the blood vessels and the skin is larger, meaning less heat will be lost through the skin. For example, when running the 800 meters, your blood vessels in your legs will vasodilate to allow a larger flow of blood to the working muscles. The blood vessels will also vasodilate in order to release sweat through the pores of your skin to cool down the body. Lastly, the muscles are needed for heart contraction. These muscles needed are called cardiac muscles and can be found in the cardiac walls, which are called the myocardium. From here, the cardiac fibers are branched out, meaning that they can interconnect to each other easily. By doing this, it allows your heart to contract involuntarily, and it also means that the contraction spreads quicker. The contraction starts in the left atrium by the sinoatrial node, also known as the pacemaker, and is then forced around the heart. There are four main muscle characteristics, including excitability, contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. These all contribute to the way your muscles act and work. Firstly, we have excitability. This refers to the muscle's ability to respond to a stimulation from a neurochemical impulse sent from the brain to the muscles via the central nervous system, hormones, if related to the cardiac or smooth muscles, and motor neurons. This could be how quickly you react to a pass in netball. Next is contractibility, which is the muscle's ability to contract and shorten in order to exert a pull force on the bone using the connective tissues. Concentric muscles are when they get smaller and shorten from the contraction, whereas eccentric muscles are when muscles are contracting whilst elongating and lengthening. We will talk more about this later in the video. Extensibility is how far a muscle can stretch beyond resisting lengths without being damaged or overstretched. For example, how high you can kick your leg without pulling your hamstring muscle found at the back of your upper leg. Elasticity is the muscle's ability to revert back to its original length after it has been contracted, meaning that after you perform the kick, your muscle relaxes back to its original shape, like an elastic band. Your body consists of a lot of muscles, however not all your muscles are the same. The human body consists of 3 different types of muscle. Firstly, you have your cardiac muscles, which are located in the myocardium, which are the walls of the heart. However, you also have smooth muscles, which are located in the tubes in your body, for example, blood vessels. Your last kind of muscle tissues are your skeletal muscles, which can be found and located attached to your skeletal muscles. Your skeletal muscles appear to be striated, meaning that they are branched for easy attachment. These muscles also contain sarcomeres, which consist of actin and myosin, which are proteins. These sarcomeres are found with bundles of muscle fibers and can be found in cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are also striated, but have a long cylindrical shape. These cardiac muscles also contain actin and myosin. However, smooth muscles are not striated and are wide and short as shown in this image, although they also contain fibers of actin and myosin. The smooth muscles are found in blood vessels and hollow organs of the body. For example, would be the aorta. The cardiac muscles are found in the myocardium. Skeletal muscles can be found attached to your skeletal bones, for example, the gastrocnemius at the back of the lower leg. The nervous system is also known as the autonomic nervous system, meaning it has 2 parts which work together on the central nervous system, which works with the peripheral nervous system. These 2 parts of the autonomic nervous system are known as the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is involuntary, meaning that it works without you thinking about it happening. It tends to excite and speed things up. For example, the cardiac muscle can be affected to beat faster when the resting pace is being stretched beyond what it is working at. However, the parasympathetic nervous system is also involuntary and inhibits and slows down things in contrast to the sympathetic nervous system. Both cardiac muscles and smooth muscles are controlled by the autonomic nervous system and work involuntarily. The skeletal muscles are somewhat different, being that they can be both voluntary and involuntary. For example, the intercostal muscles of your ribs contract without you thinking about it, allowing your ribs to move in order for you to breathe. However, other skeletal muscles, like the biceps brachii and the triceps brachii, are controlled throughout the peripheral nervous system, which is made up of the central nervous system and the somatic nervous system. These systems are controlled by impulses sent through the nerves and neurons till the impulse reaches the target muscles. These muscles also vary in speed of contraction. The skeletal muscles are most likely to tire, although they can vary depending on type of muscle fibers present. We shall talk about these later. As these muscles tire, there is a buildup of lactic acid, which can become very painful. The smooth muscles contract slowly and rhythmically and are unable to fatigue. Similarly to the smooth muscles, the cardiac muscles contract slowly and cannot fatigue unless no oxygen is present. The speed of contraction can also be affected by hormones, for example, adrenaline. These three types of muscles have different functions and are needed for specific jobs. The cardiac muscle is used to push blood through the arteries of the body and the heart, compared to the smooth muscles which push solids and liquids around the digestive system and allow the blood vessels to perform their varied jobs. Lastly, the main function of the skeletal muscles is for movement. These muscles all vary in size and how they respire. The cardiac muscle is a big, powerful muscle. However, the largest muscle in your body is the gluteus maximus, which is a skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscles vary in size, as some can be large, like the gluteus maximus, and others can be fairly small, like the stapedius, which is found in the middle of the ear. The smooth muscles, in comparison, are rather small, and are usually measured in micrometers, which is 1,000th of a millimeter, representing how small they are. All these types of muscles respire aerobically, meaning that they need oxygen. However, the skeletal muscles can also work without oxygen, but only for a small amount of time with the buildup of lactic acid. A skeletal muscle is made up of many different parts, but it starts off as a tendon. A tendon connects muscle to bone over a joint. The outer layer of the muscle is called the epimysium, which is a type of connective tissue, and it helps to reduce any friction that may be caused by movement. Just inside this layer is another, which is called the perimysium, which contains blood vessels in order for gaseous exchange to supply oxygen to the muscles and remove waste products. This is also connective tissue. Between the layer of perimysium are multiple bundles of fascicles. These are bundles of muscle fibers. All these bundles of fibers and nerves and a capillary network, which allows the exchange of oxygen between the muscle fibers. These muscle fibers are made up of individual muscle cells, which have another layer wrapped around them called the endomysium. Inside the endomysium is the sarcolemma, which is the outer layer of microfibers, which contain microfibrils, which are tubes inside the cells. The microfibrils are striated and contain sarcomeres, which are individual units that are repeated. Each sarcomere contains actin and myosin proteins which allow the muscle contraction to take place. Each muscle is controlled by neurons, and the nervous system controls the movement taking place at these muscles. The neuromuscular system is what causes the contractions and relaxations to take place, and impulses sent via this network is how the muscles know when to contract. The fatigability of the muscles is determined by the type of muscle fibers present. The fast glycolytic muscle fibers fatigue at a quicker rate than the slow oxidative muscle fibers. Each fascicle contains all types of muscle fiber. However, it is more common to have a higher percentage of one type of muscle fiber. For example, it is likely to have a large amount of fast glycolytic and a very small amount of both slow oxidative and fast oxidative glycolytic, and any other way round.